everyone, and welcome to this live broadcast. I'm Jenna with Stahls TV, and we're going to be discussing all of the different heat transfer vinyl options you have to pair with your embroidery. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic with you specifically because it is something that is continuing to trend in the industry, and it's seemingly going unnoticed by a lot of apparel decorators, specifically those that are currently doing embroidery in their business. So we're going to talk a lot about the heat transfer vinyl that's compatible with a process we call rip away applique, and why this is something you should start incorporating if you are an embroiderer and you haven't done so already, or if you're familiar with some of the applique processes with twills in different fabrics like that. So to start, there are a variety of heat transfer vinyls in the industry that are compatible with that process. So before we dive into what the actual process consists of, we're going to take a second to review some of the heat transfer vinyl that's compatible. So the first one we're going to review is the first and most popular heat transfer vinyl for this process, and that is glitter flake. So you can see the glitter inside each of these letters, and this is commonly how the rip away applique process is done, where we have an open font where the heat transfer vinyl is actually going to fill in and take up that, as opposed to just doing direct embroidery and having a lot of stitches and time put into doing a design. All right, so glitter flake is the first one. The next we have is Thermo Foam, which is our tried and true heat transfer vinyl at Stahls. You're probably familiar with this. We talk a lot about it with printing sports jerseys, names and numbers on there. Thermo Foam is great for this process because it's a nice thick material that pairs very nicely with the thread. So it's not as thick as what a satin stitch would be, but it does have a nice thickness to it. It has a semi-gloss look to it, which gives it a really cool leather effect. All right, so just take that into consideration with the different types of garments that you are embroidering on, which heat transfer vinyl is really going to look best and give that very rich look and premium fill. All right, so that's Thermo Foam. And we also have another product compatible, which is our Flake 2. So if you're familiar with Flake, it has a textured effect to it. It's dimensional in that it has a very suede-like look and feel to it. And it complements the embroidered stitching very well. So a lot of decorators in the industry, or heat printers specifically, are using this product actually to mimic the look of embroidery if they aren't offering that as a decoration method. So Flake 2 being paired with that just takes that premium look to the next level, and it fills in with a very nice effect. All right, some of the other products that I don't have as actual embroidered samples of, but are compatible with this process, are the patterns. All right, so our pattern heat transfer vinyl that you can get from our website and select what colors go into those. This one is the buffalo plaid one in white and black. This is compatible with the rip away applique process as well, in addition to our reflective material. So here I have our high-vis color reflective heat transfer vinyl, but we also offer a reflective 2 and an ANSI certified reflective known as 3M Scotch Light reflective. So all of our reflective products compatible with this process, and we also have our fashion film as well. So being that there are a lot of heat transfer vinyls in the industry, a lot of ours are compatible with this process. So you're able to get this effect and offer a nice premium rich look with your embroidery, and you're going to be able to save a lot of time and money with this process. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and look at the process and what exactly that looks like with an embroidery machine. So you can see here we have 4 set up. We're going to be showing 4 different heat transfer vinyl types. So the first step is to do your placement stitch. All right, once that placement stitch is complete, you'll be taking a piece of heat transfer vinyl. So you can see we're doing our patterns, glitter flake, flock, and reflective in each of these videos. And we're just placing that over top of the placement stitch, right? Once it's over top of the placement stitch, you're just going to make sure it's staying in place there by just kind of rubbing it and keeping it there. You can use a tacking spray for that to make sure it's not moving on you if you want. Right, and then you're just going to complete the job by sending the rest of the sew file through. All right, so now we're direct embroidering a contour satin stitch over top of this heat transfer vinyl. All right, and it's finishing that out. So it's going to complete by going over that placement stitch that was originally there. And essentially what the satin stitch is doing here, all right, this is how you want to use the rip away applique is with a satin stitch. All right, and what it essentially is doing is acting as the vinyl cutter would if you're familiar with just heat transfer vinyl cutting. All right, that satin stitch is dense enough to actually puncture and essentially cut that so that you're able to rip away the excess material. All right, now of course we need to finish the heat transfer vinyl because it does have that adhesive that needs to be cured to the garment, and you'll see that we're doing that here with the heat press, and it's just whatever that application typically goes for. So they all have different application settings, but you can see the finish and how rich and high end that looks. All right, so glitter, flock, express print or patterns, it's the same product there that's being printed and applied, and then our reflective. So those are the 4 that were shown in that video, but as I mentioned, all of those other products that we have that we reviewed are compatible with that process as well. All right, so let's just review that process one more time, just so that you can get a good understanding of that, what exactly that looks like. So whenever you start with a heat transfer vinyl that you're going to put on top of your placement stitch, you have to remember that every heat transfer vinyl comes with some sort of backing or carrier. Okay, so you'll want to remove that carrier so that you're not damaging the needle. It's typically a clear carrier that you're just removing, so you want just the heat transfer vinyl only. All right, you're going to take that piece of heat transfer vinyl and just place that over top of your placement stitch and do the finishing stitch. All right, so here is the satin stitch. You can see that dark purple in this where we've completed the satin stitch, and now you just rip away that excess material, and it's very easy to rip away. All right, so that satin stitch is creating a cut effect to the heat transfer vinyl so that we're able to just rip away the excess and have a completed filled applique. All right, so you also want to keep in mind you're going to take all the typical steps you would with embroidery. So you can see here we have that backing. This can be ripped away afterwards, all right? So that is out of the garment and not itching the person that's going to be wearing it. But you want to make sure that if you are embroidering, you do have a curing process for the heat transfer vinyl, because just as easily as this ripped away, this can rip out. All right, so you want to make sure that you are curing the adhesive in the heat transfer vinyl with a heat press or even a home iron, making sure you're using the accurate pressure and time and temperature settings that our heat transfer vinyl does include whenever you're purchasing that. All right, so now that you've seen the process work, why is this something that an embroiderer would want to start incorporating? And first, it's going to give you a large profit opportunity. So it's going to give you the ability to command a lot of money per piece. So for those of you that are working with heat transfer vinyl, you know that you can get an X amount of dollars for a basic t-shirt and a standard text on a garment. But whenever you're adding embroidery to that, it creates a premium look and a very sought after finish that really catches customers' eyes, and it makes them want to pay more for it to be able to have that higher end look. Right? You're able to reach a lot of different markets with it. So We have customers that are doing schools, whether it be the sports teams. A lot of customers are using this for baseball jerseys if they want a more collegiate or professional look for those jerseys. Even travel teams and all-star teams beyond just schools. They're doing it for spirit wear and even corporations as well. So it's going to open you up to a lot of different markets, and it's going to bring more value to your brand as a business by being able to offer this sort of finish. All right, so not only can you reach a large market, but it's going to save you time and money. Now, embroiderers that aren't using applique at all, it's going to save you time because you're not going to have as many stitches on a garment. So for instance, this is a standard applique look on a jersey. All right, so instead of this being all direct embroidery, we have a twill in here and we're just doing a zigzag stitch around it. All right, so that is what a regular applique would look like with just a standard poly twill. All right, so this is saving you time because instead of this being roughly anywhere from 40,000 to 100,000 stitches for this design, we're able to drop it anywhere to like around 10,000 stitches. So it's saving us time and ultimately cost because we're able to charge just as much as we would for direct embroidery because we're still getting that premium look and finish that the twill has to offer as well. Right now, if you are doing applique and heat transfer vinyl and not heat transfer vinyl yet, that's going to save you even more time, more so than with the applique. So whenever you are using standard poly twill applique, you can either order it pre-cut through our services, or you can order a roll and cut this yourself and put it onto your placement stitch, which does take time. With the heat transfer vinyl, as you saw in the video and as we demonstrated here, all you have to do is take that heat transfer vinyl sheet and put it over top of your placement stitch. You don't have to worry about cutting any of that design out at all. You're just taking a standard sheet and then just ripping it away, which is saving you a lot of time there too. Now, both are very nice premium looks, so it's nice to be able to offer both. And you can actually pair them together. So we have some examples here of where we've paired the poly twill and the rip away applique process together. So you'll see the white here on the outside of this Broncos design that was embroidered. That is our poly twill that was stitched, right? Then we did a second stitch, all right? So we put our placement stitch, which is where you're seeing the green, and we laid down our gold glitter flake. All right, so it's taking an already premium look and finish in a design and taking it to that next level so that we're able to command a lot more money for it. So not only are we doing the rip away applique process, but we're also doing the standard applique process with that as well. Right? And these are just more examples of what that looks like so that you're able to offer even a more premium finish. Right? So I'm not saying that applique is something that this should replace, but it's definitely something if you need to have a quick turn, this is going to be a great complement to what you're already doing for your embroidery if you are offering applique. All right, so let's take a quick look at pricing and what the difference is between heat transfer vinyl and applique. With the Stahls Rip Away Applique, here is what your profit opportunity looks like. And the reason I want to show you this comparison is because if you're doing applique already, you're going to be able to see that you're actually going to be able to save money if you're looking for more of a low-cost option for maybe some of those price-conscious customers that may not want to pay as much for your standard poly twill finishes. So here we have our CAD-CUT glitter flake. All right, for a sheet to produce the hoodie that you're seeing there is going to roughly be around 74 cents. All right, and you guys can easily calculate this cost yourself with our heat transfer vinyl cost calculator. It's a free download on the website if you're not already using that already. All right, you just plug in the dimensions of the sheet you want to use and it will generate the cost for you. All right, the hoodie that we used is $8. Our cost per piece is there. Our sell price, $25, which is on the lower end of what you could sell a rip away applique design for. All right, so and then you can see our profit per piece there is $16.26 with using the glitter flake. In my opinion, and this does vary based off of demographic or the customers that you're selling to in your area, this can vary. All right, I would probably increase this to $35 and be able to get an additional $10 in profit there. All right, but this is more on the lower end, just to give you an idea of what the profit opportunity is, even at its lowest end. Right, and this is the profit opportunity if we were creating that same design with just a twill applique. All right, so our twill is a few cents more than our glitter flake, so we're at $1.92 there. So our cost per piece is $9.92. So we're looking at $1 and change of our profit opportunity. And again, that's not a huge jump, but if you do need to offer a different option for a customer, you can choose different heat transfer vinyl types. Now, I will say the glitter flake is more on the higher end of the heat transfer vinyl finishes that we do offer. So if you do need an even lower end where it's going to be around 32 cents instead of 74 for the glitter flake, you can always use the fashion film as an option for some of those price conscious customers. All right, so that does give you an idea. I do see some comments coming in, so I'm going to take a look at that real quick. So Tony says you also need to account for the embroidery. The fee for that would be about $10 to $12. Okay, so again, thank you, Tony. That is going to range differently based off of what you're charging for your embroidery, but yes, you do want to account for that. Yes, so take that into consideration. Thank you. I should have thought about that when I did this. All right, so thanks for that. And I have another question from Rob. Why does the twill only come in 52-inch rolls now? That is a good question, Rob. I believe we switched to 52 because it was most cost effective for our customers that are using the flatbed cutters where they're either laser cutting or die cutting twill, so they can just lay out a sheet and be able to do that all together. All right, so it looks like I answered all of the questions. If you guys happen to have any more, please feel free to comment that in. All right, and I do have one video that I want to show you. It's an oldie but a goodie, and this is showing a customer testimonial of how the rip away applique process was pretty game changing for his business in the specific market that he's in. So we'll play that for you now.
Stahls has a history of innovation and customer service. When we came up with the concept for our latest product, we knew we had to share it with a few customers first to get their feedback. Mike Abrams from Athletic Outlet is one of the first customers we shared our latest innovation with, Stahls Rip Away Applique. Mike is a great customer of Stahls, and our group Stahls sales rep Andy first shared this idea of the process with him. And it didn't take Mike long to figure out what to do when he heard about Stahls Rip Away Applique. Listen in.
I instantly decided that we needed to try that right away, so I set up a file to do just that. We sewed a sample, hung it up, and within a matter of days started selling it to customers.
Now that's what I call reacting and taking advantage of being on the leading edge of innovation. An emailed idea generates the action of creating a sample, generates a sale, and an entire new revenue stream is born. But it doesn't stop there. Let's hear how it compares to metallic twill that he currently uses in his shop.
Metallic twills are nice. They're difficult to work with, but the bling factor using the glitter flake applique is way more intense than any metallic twill that we've tried.
When asked again if it was a nicer finish than metallic twill, here's how Mike responded.
It's really not even close.
And we agree. Listen as he explains the sales process with the very first sample he produced.
After making our initial samples of the process, we had some customers come in from a sorority that I do a lot of business with. I indicated that we had a new process to show them. They were instantly interested. We showed them the sample, explained the process, and it was an instant sell. Very easy when they saw it. They knew they loved it. They knew that they could pick the colors they wanted of thread. They could pick the colors of the glitter flake. They picked the color of the sweatshirts we put it on. So they literally customized their colors from the ground up, and we had amazing results. They were incredibly happy with it, and we expect this to be a regular part of our line.
You should know that we expect it to be a major part of our lineup too. We know that people love to create, and Mike is reinforcing that with this story. The color combos and mixing and matching thread with glitter is a major selling point of the process. Now, when asked about the profit potential with this, here's Mike's response.
This process will help our bottom line simply because it's simpler than traditional tackle twill, in that there's really no cutting and you don't have to worry about placing something within a placement stitch. It's easy.
So what he is reinforcing is that the look is standout and you can make money too. I want you to listen to a few of the statements that were made throughout the course of the interview, specifically on the finish.
The eye appeal of this is just incredible. It just pops off of everything we've tried it on. I love the way it looks. I think this process looks great. Everybody we've showed it to just loves it. It enhances glitter flake by virtue of adding another color to it. In this case, seeing is believing.
And hopefully we're making some believers. Mike isn't a fly-by-night business either. He's a great customer of Stahls and has a 7,500 square foot retail space with embroidery heads, 3 heat presses, multiple vinyl cutters, and sublimation. Mike knows how to innovate as well. Let's listen in on a new combination he engineered within days of having knowledge of this process.
Just had the idea to see what would happen if we laid the glitter flake applique on top of tackle twill, which we did with great success. In fact, we've already sold that. So what we did was took a design, added a contour to it. We made a contour that was slightly larger than normal. You want to allow room for your zigzag stitches to bite into the tackle twill and leave a little space so you can see the color. And you also have to account for the 50% offset of your satin stitches. So you don't want to lose your bottom layer of twill to all that. So if you make a slightly heavier contour than you normally would, and set up your file with a zigzag stitch for the twill, a satin stitch for the glitter flake topping that's going to go on it, and run it just like a regular twill job. Amazing results.
So there it is, a customer's first take on Stahls Rip-Away Applique utilizing CAD-CUT glitter flake. We feel it's a great way to grow profitable sales and offer an application that just isn't out there. Let's let Mike leave you with what he feels the potential is for this process in his store and in yours.
I think the potential for it's unlimited. I think it's only limited to your imagination.
So get creative, get motivated, and let your imagination run wild with Stahls Rip-Away Applique utilizing CAD-CUT glitter flake.
And that's how easy it is to profit with Rip-Away Applique. So if you're not doing so yet, that is very easy to get started. We do offer these samples if you want to test it out and actually show your customers firsthand the type of opportunity that you can provide for them for your next upcoming job. Right, and that's all we have for today. It looks like I've answered all of the questions that have come in. If you guys happen to have any other questions, I'll revisit the broadcast later, so feel free to comment those in. If you're not already, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our Facebook page. All right, I appreciate you guys joining me. I'll see you Monday morning on The Morning Show.